Hi! So first of all, if you're looking for my 1930s dinner in a dress video, sorry to say this isn't it. That's because since I last posted, the world has turned to chaos. For me, as someone with 3 World War II rationing books, 8 types of flour and a lot of very cute dungarees, this is kind of like something I've been preparing for my entire life. And I know that at the moment a lot of people are very scared, a lot of people are really struggling at home. And also, just basic things like getting groceries and having enough food in are really an issue for people at the moment. So, I thought I'd share what I can, which is a lot of very niche, weird knowledge about how to make food when there's no food. So I know a lot of people are really struggling with food shortages at the moment, especially because, it's difficult to get outside to shop. A lot of people have been panic buying, so it's really hard to get the food that you would ordinarily get. For example, a big restriction here has been on milk. You can only buy 2 cartons per shop. You're only supposed to go shopping once a week. For someone like me, who drinks 9,000 cups of tea a day, and especially at the moment with Sophie living with me, that's not going to cut it. So the first recipe I'm going to show you today is for oat milk, which today is a fashionable choice. It's for plant-based diets, but at the time it was just that you couldn't get your hands on regular milk. So even if you're not a vegan or you don't have a plant-based diet, you wouldn't ordinarily have oat milk. I think it's worth a shot if you're really struggling to get dairy in the shops.
I'm going to show you 2 ways of making oat milk. The first is in the 1940s pamphlet, and the second is the modern way that I currently use. The 40s recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of oatmeal to a pint of boiling water. It says to stir briskly, then strain first through a sieve to remove any lumps, then through muslin to get it clear. Very predictably, this is going to result in some weak shit. In the modern day version, I use 4 tablespoons of oatmeal per pint of water. If you have a blender, whack it in, zhoosh it up until it's all smooth and creamy, and then strain it the same way.
You can see there's a massive difference in viscosity and creaminess between the 2 of them. This is just cloudy water. This actually looks like oat milk. Obviously the superior oat milk is the kind that I made in the blender. It's got a much higher proportion of oats to water, so it's got a much creamier texture, more like the oat milk that you would buy in the supermarket. That said, I don't think really pushing it through the tea towel helped, so you can skip that step, don't worry about it. If you don't have a blender but you still want to try making oat milks, I would say absolutely give this a go. Do it with the higher proportion of oats to water, so that's 4 tablespoons to the pint. And I would also leave it to soak overnight to absorb a bit more. This suffered from being super quick because it just coloured the water, basically. Yeah, no.
Oh, she won't get up, man. Lazy Mary won't get up. She stays out too late nightly. Don't you see in the nursery? Don't you see in the nursery? Mother Goose is on.
My second recipe is because I know a lot of people are struggling to get their usual sources of protein, whether that be meat or meat replacements, whatever it is. But a lot of people do have red lentils in their cupboard and no idea of how to cook them. So this is a recipe for mock goose. It was put out by the government during the war. It's very straightforward. It's pretty much lentils. It has like a stuffing of breadcrumbs and onion. I'm going to add in some extra spices to try and make it more appealing to modern palates, but it's very basic, and if you're looking for something to have with potatoes or with vegetables as a side, this is a really good, healthy, protein-filled main.
This is a very easy recipe if you have next to nothing in your store cupboards, because these are the 3 main ingredients. Obviously you can add a bunch of other stuff if you'd like, but as long as you have these 3, you're good to go. For this recipe, I'm cooking 150 grams of split red lentils in 275 ml of water until it's all absorbed. You can then add a tablespoon of lemon juice and some salt and pepper, but I'm also adding a bunch of store cupboard spices to make this a little more interesting. I'm using cumin, turmeric, curry powder, whatever else I had. I don't remember. Whatever. For the stuffing, I'm just sauteing the onion in vegetable stock with a little bit of chopped thyme, and then adding 2 slices of bread. You can make this into breadcrumbs, which is what the book suggests, but I'm just chopping it up. Put half the lentil mixture into a greased oven-proof dish, spread the stuffing on top, and then top off with the remaining lentils. This says to bake in a moderate oven, which is a made-up temperature that they used to use in the 1940s just to piss me off. I put it in at 200 degrees C for about 20 minutes.
Just from clapping hands, and the grown-up cats have lost their stats from dancing to those bands. Now if you don't think these cats can swing, I'll let them show you how.
My final recipe of the day is potato scones, not to be confused with traditional scones. These are more like drop scones. The bulk of these is half potatoes and half flour, so if you want carbs but you don't want to use up all your flour reserves, let potatoes take some of that weight. How many potatoes do people have? Because I have recipes for like potato shortbread, potato cake, potato pastry. Does anyone have a surplus of potatoes? The ingredients for this are 225 grams of mashed potato, 225 grams of plain flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and a little bit of salt. What you're going to do is add just a little bit of milk at a time to try and get it into a firm dough.
Roll these out until they're about half a centimetre or a quarter of an inch thick, and then cut into circles. You can keep re-rolling your dough to use all of it. I'm frying these in just a little bit of vegetable margarine. If you have a non-stick pan like this, you don't actually really need it, but whatever, live your life.
Love is a dream, but in my reverie, I can see that this love was meant.
So those are 3 1940s rationing recipes to use when you're really low on supplies or struggling with food shortages. Let me know if you try any of them or if you're interested in seeing more, because like I say, I have a lot of rationing cookbooks. Please take care, please stay safe, please eat well. Babe, there's tatty scones if you want one. Do you want to eat potatoes? It's really got to be potatoes. Oh!